CSL Primetime is brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. This is Jovova CSL Primetime. Hey folks, I'm Alex Bastiavansky. Welcome. Well, York Region appears to be back on track. Hamilton City continues to roll. All the highlights coming up shortly. Also, I'll have a feature story on Milton star midfielder Harris Vislagic. And of course, Jason DeThomasis will join me here for DT's breakdown. All that coming up later on. But first, Jovova game highlights. And Hamilton has been one of the more perplexing teams in the CSL this year. First half of the season, they flirted with last place and were uninspired at best. Lately, though, they've been the hottest team in the league, unbeaten in 6, and looking like a squad that could be a dark horse to make a serious playoff run. Friday saw a huge test for them as they took on second place Scarborough, who had designs on bringing that win streak to a crashing halt. Game highlights now brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. So Scarborough hadn't won in 3 heading into this one, and they were desperate to get back on track. And the first half was almost all Scarborough in terms of chances. 5th minute, Alex Stojilkovic with the nice moves, denied though by the sprawling Adrian Becic. And then Hamilton's Nikola Stanejevic was sacrificing life and limb in this contest. Here, defender denies Dobrin Orlovsky, and he was doing that all game for Hamilton. City chances, few and far between in the first half, but they do strike first. Zdenko Jurcevic from the crazy angle goes bar down to beat Imad Hikura. Absolutely gorgeous shot. And City go up 1-0 just before the halftime whistle, though Scarborough gets it back. Hamilton's defense falls asleep. Ball pops right to Tiomir Kosturkov, who slots it home. And Scarborough notch things up at 1 apiece. Second half now, and the Whites get an absolute beauty. Courtesy Mirza Kolic from 35 yards out. That is a gorgeous shot, a stunner in the 74th minute. Scarborough jumps in front 2-1. But in the 81st minute, Hamilton salvages the tie. Jurcevic was the man in this game for City. He shrugs off Metodi Iliev, who was draped all over him there. Blasted past Akira. Zdenko starting to heat up. He's got 6 goals on the season for City. That's his 2nd of the game. And it finishes up as a 2-2 draw. So Hamilton extends its unbeaten streak to 7. Afterwards, Miroslav Cabrillo commented on why the team's fortunes have turned around recently.
Yeah, it was a battle. I mean, Scarborough is always going to give you a tough physical game. We were at home. We expected a win, but, you know, we'll take a draw. At the end of the day, we're okay again, not taking a loss. We'll take away the positives.
Well, FC Ukraine has been anything but boring in its first CSL season. They may sit 6th out of 8 teams currently, but Ukraine has been one of the most entertaining squads to watch this year thanks to their goal-scoring prowess. The last couple of games, though, their vaunted offense, which at one point led the league, has stalled. Ukraine went scoreless not once but twice. Shocking, to say the least. Well, they remedied that problem against Atomic last weekend. The question was, could their defense step up to the plate? Ukraine had its offense humming on Sunday after 2 games of going scoreless. 8th minute, Lubomir Halchuk dials long distance and nearly gets it to go. Nice save, though, by Vitiv. They do draw first blood in the 26th minute. Not pretty by any stretch, but they'll take it. Konstantin Derlov there to knock it home, and Ukraine go up 1-0. Second half, though, Johnson Luyiga got going, and he was spectacular. 49th minute, he waltzes in. Too much time and space. Toronto right back in it, tied at 1. Ukraine's Sergei Ivliev mired in a brutal goalless streak. He ends it in spectacular fashion, beating Vitiv 2-1 Ukraine through 60. But then it's Luyiga going to work again. Told you this guy had a massive game, beautiful ball movement. In it goes, and Atomic knots it once again, 2-2 after 62. And then look at the footwork by Luyiga as he sets up Roman Sakno for the quality strike at the 85th minute mark. Atomic looked to have 3 points within their grasp, but then in the 89th, brutal miscue by Atomic. They give it right to Vitaly Denistrian. Vitiv furious in goal, and for good reason, as Atomic sees 3 points slip away. Ouch. Great game, though, back and forth the whole way. Tons of chances for both sides. Not exactly a defensive gem, but highly entertaining anyway from an offensive standpoint. And just before we go to break, let's take a look at the CSL's top scorers, brought to you, of course, by the York Region Shooters Academy. Train with professionals. Head to yorkregionshooters.com for more information. As we look at the top now, some movement. Adnan Smajic leading the way with 11 goals, followed by Ivliev, who gets his 10th. Richard West breaks out of his goalless drought. He's got 9. Hasesic and Vukovic tied in 4th with 7, and Sajilkovic and Jurcevic tied with 6 apiece. Welcome back to Javova's CSL Primetime. So while they've got a comfortable lead at the top of the CSL table, York Region is just getting back into the swing of things after a 4-game stretch that saw them go winless and scoreless. Now, with less than a month of regular season play remaining, York's goal is to finish off their last few games on a high note with momentum on their side heading into the postseason. They were looking to add to their modest 2-game win streak on Sunday against a powerful Serbian side. York's Richard West has been stuck on 8 goals for what seems like forever. 9 minutes in, he remedies that problem though. Nice little tap in out front, and big sigh of relief for West and his teammates as he snaps the drought finally. Shooters go up 1-0. Moments later, he nearly adds to it as Goran Svanja gives it right to West. Bojan Vranic. Nice stop though, one of many he'll make on the night. Corner kick soon after. It's there for the taking for York, but they just can't get it to go. Still 1-0. 18th minute, Vranic with the save of the game off the Evan Butler shot from 27 yards out. That one had some mustard on it, and York was kicking itself for all the missed chances. O'Dane Simpson, open cage, and he has to have a little chuckle afterwards. Where would Serbia have been without the strong play of Vranic? Tristan Frankson, one-on-one here. Larceny by the White Eagles keeper, though. Not many Serbia chances in the first half. This was a good one, though. Filip Vlasovic, nice cross. Miroslav Jovanovic with a near miss on the header. Second half, Serbia scores, but not the way they wanted to. Evan Butler crosses. Dragan Dragatunovic with the world-class header that ends up in his own net. Butler gets the credit. York jumps its lead to 2 through 48. Serbia wasn't going down without a fight, though. Luka Bojic fights off Ricky Heron just wide of the post, though. Moments later, it's Jovanovic all alone out front, but Adrian Ibanez comes up with a massive stop to preserve the 2-goal lead. York nearly pads it in the 68th. Vranic makes the initial stop. West on the rebound off the iron, though. 70th minute now, and the White Eagles do finally notch one. Vukomanovic, perfect feed for Radenko Kamberovic. One-timer, beautiful goal. Too little, too late, though, as it turned out. So York have bounced back nicely from its 4-game winless streak. They've now won 3 in a row and are looking more and more like the team that started the year unbeaten in 11. Okay, other game scores to tell you about. Milton had a great weekend. Friday night, they tied Brantford 1-1 at Jean Vanier. And then on Sunday, huge game as they drop powerful Scarborough by a 2-1 count. So Milton looking like they're going to make a move up the standings. Welcome back to Javova CSL Primetime. Alex Bashivansky joined in the studio now by analyst Jason DeThomasis. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
How was Vancouver?
To be honest, pretty chilly.
Chilly. You're happy to be back in the humidity is what you're saying.
Actually, very happy to be.
Welcome back. We got a lot to catch up on. DT's Breakdown now brought to you by a Days Inn Hotel, the official hotel of the Canadian Soccer League. And Milton Bounces back with a huge weekend. Just when we can't really get a read on these guys, and this is a reason why, because we thought they were coming back a couple of weeks ago, then they dropped 2 straight. Now they come back with a tie against Brantford and a huge win against Scarborough.
You know what? Points from both games, huge weekend for them. They're out of the basement now, so hopefully they pick up some steam going forward.
Yeah, a huge positive and maybe a bit of a negative as well. Adnan Smajic, who we've mentioned before, is now actually leading the lead in scoring with 11 goals, and he continues to pad his scoring totals by having a great weekend. So let's talk about the positive first and how good he's been all year.
You know what? He's been their go-to guy when they need a couple goals. Again, this weekend, huge points, he's there. But like we discussed over and over on each show, you want to have some balanced scoring throughout any team, actually.
Right, so then let's take that on to the negative then, which is he's now accounted for more than half the team's goals. Someone else is going to have to step up. Lucky McGrory was stepping up for a bit. I believe he was suspended this week, so he didn't play. But they need to get more balanced scoring aside from just Magic, because like you brought up before, if he goes down with injury, what are they going to do then, right? Yeah,
like we've seen it in other games that they've lost. He's not scoring, obviously. If there's no other balanced attack or there's no other support cast, they're going to suffer, and it's actually happened a couple games so far. Yeah,
good to see Fislagic, though, who was one of their big acquisitions, along with Dado Hadrovic. Fislagic, who we're going to have a profile story on later in the show. A huge pickup for them. He does get a goal this weekend, and that's the kind of stuff they were expecting from him.
Yeah, you know what? He looked good, and credit to him. 2 games in a couple days, so it's going to be tiring on the legs. And again, he helped them gain points over the weekend.
Yeah, now it's funny how Milton has had success against some teams where a lot of teams they didn't. We should point out, by the way, they've climbed out of the basement now. Success against teams like Hamilton now, who they've beaten twice on the season. Hamilton just pulling out of the, going way up the standings actually over the last few games. And now Scarborough. They've beaten Scarborough twice in a row. I mean, how do you account for that? Just there's some teams you've got their number?
Yeah, it's amazing. Scarborough had a great start to the season.
Absolutely,
they dropped off in the middle of the pack, but you know what? Scarborough's still holding second position, and Milton beat them twice. That's huge points, 6 points that you can't get back.
And as I did allude to, Brampton now out of the, Brantford, Milton out of the CSL basement while Brantford is slid in there, and we're not entirely surprised by that, are we, the way they were playing?
No, you know, Brantford over the last couple of weeks, we've seen them, they just haven't been into the games. It just seems that they're uninterested, and it's obviously showing now at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, okay, good stuff, buddy. We're going to take a quick break, and we got a lot more games to cover, more CSL Primetime coming up. Welcome back to Javoba CSL Primetime. Alex Bastiavansky with Jason DeThomasis. Moving on now to our next game, and this was a doozy actually. Hamilton and Scarborough, what turned out to be possibly the best game of the weekend. Just a great back and forth encounter. So many great chances for both teams.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game to watch. From a neutral's perspective, it was great. Action on both ends. Some great goals and some great saves.
Hamilton proving to be the real deal now, because they started the season, I think we mentioned before, the best word you could use was uninspiring. There was so much talent there. We knew they could do better, and they are proving a point now. They're now undefeated in 7 games. They're the hottest team in the CSL.
Yeah, you know what? Taking points from 7 games, with the table as close as it is, any point's going to be a huge advantage. And again, they took some time to mesh, and we spoke about that before. There are a lot of players coming in, and it seems to now that they're rolling at the right time of the season.
Right. Drazen Vukovic has been their main guy all season for Hamilton, and Blazen was actually out for this game due to suspension. Zdenko Jurcevic is a guy who a lot was expected of this year, and he's just been snake bitten. We've watched time and time again just plays where his ankle's been right on the doorstep and he's blown it wide at the net or over top of the net or gotten robbed by the goalie. Very frustrating season for him so far, but he stepped up and had a huge game, 2 goals for him.
Yeah, do you know what? Again, playing against Scarborough, they're only a few points away from each other in the standings. Hamilton needed a win, obviously, but a point was great, and he stepped it up and trying to continue from his success last season.
21 goals last year. He was actually runner-up for the CSL Golden Boot Award. And only 6, now 6 though. I mean, that 4 goes to 6 now. So on a bit of a roll, but I mean, when you look at one season to the next, a lot more was expected of him this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess coming into this year, there's a lot more pressure on him. Obviously, expectations are higher seeing what he did last year, so it's going to be in his head. And he's coming to the forefront now, but hopefully he can continue and help them leapfrog in the standings.
Okay, let's move on now to Ukraine and the Toronto Atomic. Another back and forth affair, a 3-3 tie. Really no surprise whenever Ukraine's playing that 3 goals might get scored by them alone. The defense couldn't quite hold them, but again, this was a real great, exciting game, wasn't it? Back and forth.
Again, another great game over the weekend. Ukraine, as we said before, their defense doesn't allow a lot of goals, so lately, their forwards have been stepping up, but it's going to be one of those games where if your forwards don't score, 3 goals go in, it's going to be tough to win.
Ukraine get their vaunted offense going again, though, after 2 games of going scoreless, which for them must feel like an eternity, yeah?
Yeah, you know what, like, they're one of the leading goal-scoring teams in the league. Again, their standings don't show that, but any game that you don't score a goal when you're averaging a couple of games, and it seems like an eternity.
Right, Sergei Ivliev, for the longest time, was leading the league in scoring. And he has been stuck on, I believe it was stuck on 9 goals for what seemed like forever, which it goes part and parcel, of course, with Ukraine's goal-scoring drought. He finally gets his 10th goal of the season, and if Ukraine's going to be successful, they need Ivliev to keep scoring for them.
Like we said, it's been a common topic. Like, we want balanced scoring, but he's been their main go-to guy, and if he's there scoring a goal, usually they're either getting a point or they're winning the game.
Right. You talked about balance so many times. It's worth noting now, I actually went down the list in the statistics. Ukraine, not just Ivliev, they actually have 4 guys now within the top 15.
And you know what? It goes to show in the standings. Ukraine was one of the basement teams, and now they're slowly moving up. I believe that they're only 4 points out of second place, and it's a close race, but they're up there.
Yep. Okay, let's move it along now to York and Serbia, and York continues to roll after a bit of a lapse. We've talked about it lots. They went 4 games without a win. They went 4 games without scoring a goal. This was at one point the top offense in the league. Still the top defense in the league, which we'll get to in a second. But 3 straight wins, and they pad their lead at the top, and York definitely back where they want to be.
Oh, this is a huge statement game, I think. They had that lapse in the middle of the season, like we said. Serbia was on a roll up until the last couple of weeks. And I think Serbia came into after that incident a couple of weeks ago. And
They've lost a few players due to suspension.
Yeah, so it was going to be a tough game for them going into it. So York, credit to them, came out with a 2-1 win. And as you said, their defense is the best in the league, and they proved it today as well.
All right, we talked about Ivliev for Ukraine being having a bit of a scoring drought. Richard West was stuck on 8 goals forever for York Region, an eternity it felt like, and he comes through, he gets his 9th goal. I think you hear that big sigh of relief from York Region and West as well, who's used to potting all kinds, last year's Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, he's been top of the league for as many years as I can remember, and again, it's getting that monkey off your back. In sports, it's all about getting momentum going, and hopefully this propels him forward, and he starts going to where he knows he can get to.
Yeah, he sort of mirrors the Ivliev thing as well as Jurcevic for Hamilton. I mean, not for a lack of chances. He had so many chances this year, and you see him just putting it wide or getting robbed by the keeper. So it's, I mean, the big sigh of relief, but just you feel like he's sort of maybe going to peak at the right time again, heading in towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned if I was him or the coaching staff or even his teammates if he wasn't getting those chances. But like you said, the chances are there, so it's just a matter of time for him.
Right. We want to just touch on the parity. And if you look at the standings, you'll see that 2 through 6, I believe there's about 5 points separating everyone now. Some games in hand as well for some of the lower teams. The parity in the league this year is unlike any time that I've seen, and I've been covering the league for the last 15 years doing a show. Your take on this and just how balanced it is, aside from York at the top, with everyone else, it's very close, isn't it?
Yeah, every game, you know what? As a player, to be honest, you hate going into a game knowing it's going to be an easy game. You always want some sort of challenge. So watching these games as of late, you never know who's going to win. Like Milton's being Scarborough, Milton's being Hamilton. It's fantastic to watch, and it's great for the league. And the parity's there. 5 points separating 4 positions. It's fantastic.
Good stuff, buddy. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, it's always a pleasure.
All right, more CSL Primetime coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to Javoba CSL Primetime. One of the league's standouts over the past few seasons has been Bosnian midfielder Haris Fislagic. In fact, all Haris has done pretty much is win. In 6 seasons, he's won 2 league titles and been a finalist twice more. Now, like any other foreign player in the CSL, living in a new country and speaking a new language has posed its challenges. But as you'll see, playing with his best friend and having his new wife here with him now has made the whole experience that much better. Haris Fislagic, this week's Player Spotlight, brought to you by Olympic Trophies, official trophy supplier to the Canadian Soccer League.
How I ended up in Canada? Well, one of my buddies there, actually, he was the president of the club that I used to play. He was sitting at the bar in Switzerland, and they were talking about, you know, soccer players and how he needs one player, and they mentioned me, and you know, they asked for a CV, saw me on YouTube, and they liked what they saw and brought me in. That was 2010 in Brantford, and honestly, that was the best year I had in Canada for playing for the CSL, in the CSL. Winning the league 2010 was just amazing because we had full stadiums. So, like, for example, in Brentford there was always 1,500 people at least watching the games, shirt selling, you know, really, it's an amazing feeling of playing in front of so many people. And then at the finals it was just amazing. It was a full stadium. There was like really crazy fans, honestly. I remember time of Croatia, so I don't know who watched that game who remembers that. So Dado Hadrovic is my best friend and my best man. Meeting Dado was like 15 years ago actually, and maybe even more. And it was, you know, just through common friends, started hanging out, you know, we had this soccer that put us more together. And having him by my side is just a relief, like in any, that's not only on the field, even beside the field, having a friend that you can, like that you have from home, and you know, helping you out when you're down, and you know, pushing you constantly, you know, to go move forwards. And then living with him as well, you know, the same thing, because you have a piece of your home back here, you know, and you know how far we are from back home, and it's helping me to, you know, get comfy more here and everything. And I just kind of got used to him, and I don't know how would Canada and the CSL look without him, you know. He's my best man, like from the wedding. He's my best friend from back home and everything. And now we are here both with our wives, and they get along, thank God, as well. So everything is working out perfect. The first thing we had to look was, you know, to get a bigger house, to have some privacy, of course. But it's definitely easier than being alone, you know. Alone time, of course, you need it and everything. It's a bit different because we used to like live with other soccer players, and you know how soccer players are. Not reliable with lots of things. Now with everything changed, you know, you have to take care of a bit more about stuff, you know. And yeah, but it's definitely easier for us to be here, you know. Having them back home, helping us a lot too. Well, being in Canada is, for me now, that it's my 6th time coming, and I feel like home, especially bringing my wife with me, you know, bringing such a big part of my life with me, and having her by my side just makes me, you know, get comfy easier, get used to it easier, and I honestly love it. And if I didn't love it like I do, I wouldn't come back, of course. And I don't know, maybe sooner or later I'll stay here for the rest of my life, because I just got used to it, you know, and I like what I got used to. And it's just, Canada has been good to me, you know.
Okay, just before we go, let's look at the top 5 plays from the last week in the league. Number 5, Johnson Luyiga had a monster game for Atomic on Sunday. Beautiful moves here that lead to the setup for Roman Sakno, who blasted home, and nicely done, part of a 3-3 tie. Number 4, Bojan Vranic was huge in goal for Serbia Sunday, replacing Goran Skadic as he skies for the gorgeous stop off the Evan Butler shot that was earmarked for the top corner. Number 3, more from Atomic's Liiga as he fakes out the Ukraine defender and smokes it home. He had 2 of Toronto's 3 goals Sunday. Number 2, Hamilton's Zdenko Jurcevic going bar down against Scarborough from the ridiculous angle. 1 of 2 for Svenko on the evening last Friday. And number 1, same game, Scarborough's Mirza Kolic from 35 yards out, sublime strike to beat Adrian Becic, utter perfection, and that's definitely our CSL play of the week. And we are out of time. Just remember though, you can always head to CanadianSoccerLeague.ca to get all your up-to-date league information, at CSL_soccer on Twitter, and of course, Jevova Canadian Soccer League on Facebook. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for watching.